Welcome to our podcasts, Wise Black Nana's Life Coaching Between the Dash. Hey, what do you do when it feels like life has thrown you a few too many challenges, knocked you down, in the bed, hard to talk about even with your best friend challenges, and it feels like the challenges are winning? Wouldn't it be nice to hear from your Nana? Or a stand-in Wise Black Nana? Well, they are Wise Black Nanas, Sharla Walker, PhD, and Joanne Early, MS, two mature women with over 70 plus years of combined coaching and mentoring, professional human resources, and business experience. The wonderful news is, these Wise Black Nanas are still living and learning about this amazing life, about resilience and grit, gratitude and appreciation, and the extraordinary power of love and friendships, being positive and supportive, and learning from others. Welcome to Wise Black Nanas. Let's listen in.
Welcome to our podcast. Hello, I am Dr. Sharla M. Walker, one half of the dynamic Wise Black Nanas. We strive to share with you our personal and maybe sometimes professional experience, although now it's more personal because we don't work. Yay, we're retired. But
you mean this isn't work?
Well, it's a different kind of work. It's the kind of work of passion and a little procrastination. But anyway,
I agree.
This episode is about friends and friendship. Joe and I have many discussions about friends, and we share some similar perceptions. Friendship. Whoa, that's a big word. It's if you sit back and think about it and reflect about it, it's a big word, and it carries a lot of emotion and commitment, at least for me. It's defined as a relationship of mutual trust, mutual respect, affection, and support between two or more people. And that can be a heavy lift for some people, or maybe not for others. It is built on shared experiences, concern for each other. And one of the most important things is during this friends to friendship, there has to be a connection.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Joanne, the other co-host of Wise Black Nanas. And yeah, we just talk about everyday things that we all experience, and certainly friendships and our interactions with our friends is certainly part of those things that we do on an everyday basis. So what we're just trying to do is leave you with a little more information than you had before, give you a few helpful solutions and hints, some of that what would Nana do along the way, and just in an effort to try to make our lives a little easier, to have us, kind of stop and think sometimes, and we hope to improve our mental well-being along the way. We kind of thought this will be a fun topic to talk about, but we found it to be in some ways a rather hard topic. And I think it's what Dr. Sharla said in her introduction is, because we all have different ways of looking at things and interacting with people differently. So come along with us as we talk about friendships. And hopefully it causes you to think about the many different types of friendships that you have. It's family friendships, there's friend friendships, some of um, just some part of your life history. There are friends of friends, there's sorority, there's organizations that you belong to, there's love and like relationships. You have friendships through those ways. Just so many connections. And it just really caused us to stop and think, about just the many different types of friends that we have and how our friends can help carry our burdens and lighten our loads sometimes just a bit. and how we do that also for our friends. So yeah, that's what this episode is about, and it's airing 1st of November or first part of November. And November, is certainly a time that we start heading into the holiday season. So it's just a natural time to start thinking about family and friends. And goodness, so many times your friends become closer to you, than your family. So it's a good time to have a friend, a little bit of a friend tune up, and also to reflect upon how thankful we are when we have really good friends.
Yeah, I don't know what we do if I don't say we. I will say I don't know what I would
You
do
can
or
say
have
we. I agree
done.
with that. We.
Well, I don't want to put my biases on anybody else.
You're not.
We all have our internal list of friends. Um, and I think that we may characterize them differently. For me, um, my perception, this is mine, is that I have a core group of friends, an internal group of friends, and an external group of friends. So, and I'll go into that a little bit more, and as I give you some examples of what those folks, the core group of friends don't actually do what the external does, but the internal may go back and forth between core and internal. So I know that sounds crazy, but that's how I look at it. So let me kind of just give you an example of a core friend, and this is really, really dear to my heart. Is I hope no one has experienced this beside me because it's a horrible, horrible feeling. Is I have two children have passed away, and both times I had the coroner come to my door to let me know that my children um, were no longer with me. I can't tell you how that felt because I think that I was frozen in time. Um, but what I can tell you is that I made one phone call each time, and in a matter of an hour, I had two friends that came. They didn't ask any questions, they just were there.
Hmm.
And they didn't ask questions, they didn't ask me what I needed, they just did what they felt I needed at the time because I was so frozen in time. And so that's what I consider core friendship. All I had to do was just say my child's name, and they were on their way. Um, they didn't ask why or what. They were just there, and that is what I needed. They were there then, after, and they're still there. So I appreciate what what God gave me at that time because not all friends can do that or want to do that.
Yeah.
So I'm very thankful and grateful for them, and I would do the same or have done the same for them. So that's just my example of uh, a core friend, internal friend. Not quite the same, but if they had a need, then I would help them or they would help me. It's like I said, it's a mutual trust, a mutual love,
Hmm.
and um, it's just there. You just know when someone's telling the truth and when someone's not telling the truth. And external, I would say, is more like a work associate that you don't really know, but you will see them out, you see them high, whatever.
Hmm. Hmm.
You would not, or I would not call them for anything such as what happened with my core friendship. So, like I said, I just hope that nobody else has ever had that experience. So, having friends and good, healthy friends that are really supportive and you know it. They don't have to, you just know it in your soul. You don't have to worry about whether it's a facade or they're trying to get the spotlight
Right.
or be on TikTok or whatever, you know, because we're old people, we don't do all that. We don't show every day. We don't, we still have a need for privacy.
Right. Right.
So, so the relationship to me in all these situations are essential. I think it's important that we have friends, um, but we have to make sure that that friend that we call a friend is a friend to us, if that makes sense. Um, we have to watch out for red flags, different things like that. And also, in your friend circle, you have to remember that sometimes friendships end, they're only there for a season.
Mhm.
And you have to figure out when that season is over, or that friend will let you know the season is over by talking with you. And you have to feel good and grateful for the time that you have had. So
Mhm.
it's all about our well-being, really, you know, friends and friendship is really about our well-being. If we don't take care of ourselves or we let a friend do some ungodly things to us, that's not taking care of our well-being. And that's what we got to be about us as well. That should come first. It's also not only good for our well-being, it is also good for our mental attitude. You know, if we have children, grandchildren, great grandchildren, we want to make sure that we have positive, you know, things for them to see, you know,
Mhm.
and then share with them what friends are like. I mean, in today's world, these children are so, that's my friend, that's my friend, that's my friend. And I really try to instill in my great granddaughter that let's take your time with that. Take your time with that. Get to know that person. Um, we think it's a challenge to be healthy, to be mindful, to be positive with our well-being, but we still try to manage it. We do pretty well. I do pretty well. Sometimes there are days that I don't. And I just stay in bed and I don't see anything wrong with that. I'm retired.
Yeah. Yes, you do reach a point where you kind of said, okay, today's the day that I might not want to be too involved, or I might just want to read all day, or I might just want to,
Yeah,
take an extra long walk or something, indulge myself a little bit,
right,
or just maybe hang out, a little longer with my friends or have some extra long conversations, whatever. Yeah, we get to the point where, we've earned that. I just want to comment and again, just say that you and I have known each other again a long, long time, and I just know how important it was during those periods of time that you really relied on your friends, and I know that there's so much sincerity in what you're saying about, the relief and the comfort and the support, that they provided you. And, that is certainly one of those times when friends help us carry the burden of loss,
right.
and help us, find our way again. So, yeah, so, thank you for acknowledging that. And I know they know who they are, out there, and that you will forever, and I am forever thankful that they were there during that time.
Thank
So
you.
one of the things you mentioned, um, in is that you would sometimes kind of check out your great granddaughter and her friends. Well, I live with a 7-year-old granddaughter, great granddaughter, and she is quite a character. And I have mentioned her a few times, on other podcasts. And so I don't know, I was picking her up one day from school and thinking about this episode. And so I just asked her, what did she have any friends? Did she know about friendships and what was important to her? And
Hmm.
what did she think a friend was? So I consulted with her, on the topic of friends. And not, well, maybe I was a little surprised, but her responses were very close to things that I consider. And so I'll share some of that with you. Of course, she went off on another whole conversation, which, I'm not going to get into. But she said, yeah, that friends are very important to her and that her requirements were that her friends are kind, that they liked her, that they enjoyed and wanted to talk and play with her, that they said thank you, that they shared. She said also that they have nice parents and that they have play dates that included snacks. So
Oh, okay.
so I'm not, when I think about, okay, all right, some of those things continue to hold true. But I had a little bit of fun with her and her talking about, the friends she, liked, and then there were people that she called friends, but they're not really my real good friends. So again, not too far away from, some of the things that we've already talked about. So, in considering what her list of friend traits are and our list of friend traits, we think of a true friend, versus just somebody that we know or see sometimes, like you mentioned, sometimes work associates, we refer to them, oh, this is my work friend or whatever. But
Hmm.
we're talking about our friends that we share almost all with, that we have gone through tragic situations in our lives with, that we have, gone through husbands, divorces, relationships, children, various levels of, relatives with, just gone through life with. And when we think of, or when I think of my friends list, I think about somebody that really cares about you or somebody that you really care about. And again, it could be somebody that's part of your family or somebody that is not related to you. You feel a real bond with the individuals. You can trust them with your innermost secrets, your innermost hurt, and your innermost pain. And you know it's going to be safe with them, that they're not gonna, what did you say earlier, you go up there and put it on TikTok or,
Facebook.
or whatever. You can trust them with your most exciting news, even and trust that they're gonna keep it, until you are ready to share it openly. And they are just as happy for you as you are. Because sometimes we run into some situations that all of our friends aren't really happy when good things you know,
Yeah.
happen to us.
Very
Um,
unfortunate.
it's
Very
it's
unfortunate.
a
Yeah.
very unfortunate situation, but it's real, and sometimes it hurts us to have to acknowledge that, and I guess subsequently deal with it. With a good friend, you don't have betrayals, you don't have the lies, you don't have the broken trust. They make time for you, and you make time for them. And it's not just when they need something. Sometimes, you just, we used to call it shooting the breeze, just talking about whatever, just catching up, just doing a check-in with them. Um, you feel joy. You really feel joy when you interact with them. You know your opinions are going to be respected, even if you disagree. You feel heard. It's great when a friend tells you, "Yeah, no, I don't know." You can tell when our friends aren't quite on board because they're like,
Yeah.
"Well, did you consider this? Did you think about this?" But at least with the real friend, you're going to be heard, and they're going to respect the fact that that you want to be heard. When they give you a hug, it's a hug. It's not one of
Hmm.
these little, hey, little courteous
Yeah.
pat on the back or whatever. You get a real hug from a real friend.
A long hug.
Absolutely, absolutely. And then they also kind of let you know that, hey, they don't expect you to be perfect because they're not
Mhm.
perfect. And they don't expect that you're gonna, always have the answer, always do the right thing. They allow us to be real and they
Yeah.
allow us to be people, to be human.
Yeah.
So,
I wanted to just say, Joanne, I'm sorry,
yeah,
that
no,
the respect that you feel is totally different when it's genuine. They
yeah,
don't even have to hug you. They can just look at you, give you a smile, give you a nod, and you know that it's there.
you
It's
know
not,
it's real.
so
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So if you're, I mean, this isn't a end all be all list or summation of, friend traits, but we call them friend traits. And just like my little one had her list of things. I don't require that my friends, bring snacks. Glass of wine here and there is okay. It's okay, but don't require the snacks. But there are other ways of feeding, feeding and reinforcing and supporting those friendships. So just just some things to, kind of think about if you're wanting to do a friend checkup, just consider some of those things.
Oh, here we are. Here we are, learning about different things, what each one of us, Joe and I, you know, our list or imaginary or written down, it may be different, but it's similar because we
Mm-hmm.
want the same thing. We want the same thing and want to get the same thing. Respect, honesty, and most of all, trust. I think for me, trust is a big, big thing.
Yep.
I don't trust easily. Uh, one of my mentors, LC, would say, at all. She knows me well. Uh,
Yes, yes, she does.
but that's just due to being a woman of color, growing up in this environment and trying to work it the best I could with what I had. So
Yep. Yep.
you can't trust what comes out the mouth. You got to see action. So,
Yep.
um, one of the things that we talked about is we would like for you to reflect on, what is friends? What is a friend to you? What is friendship? Um, how do you relate to it? How do you express it?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
you might want to think about that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Well, let me just share with you um, that I have a group of friends, a group of women that oh, we have been getting together. Well, let me back up for just a second. We were able to get together a few weeks ago and go over to a little small coastal town in California called, name of the town is Bodega Bay. And, because of COVID and various ones being, maybe not living in the area, whatever, through the COVID years, we did not have much of an opportunity to get together. However, we were able to stay connected, just with through Zoom and using Zoom calls to stay in touch. But this is a group of friends. These are all African American women. Um, we're wives, moms, grandmothers, great grandmothers, sisters, friends, friends, friends. We calculated that, including the COVID years, that we've been getting together, as a getaway for the last 29 years. And
well,
we even gave
mhm.
ourselves a name, the BBB, and a couple of those B's are Bodega Bay. So you can decide what the other B stands for in any way that you'd like. But these, are women that certainly now a lot of us are, we're certainly older, we're a little slower, and we're a little grayer. Many of us, instead of, talking about husbands and relationships and boyfriends and, various issues or children issues. We're talking about now our latest surgeries. Our, we're comparing our medications. In fact, one of our friends is a nurse, and so we were all lined up, kind of, asking her to help us interpret various tests, various results, or whatever. And that was kind of like one of the highlights of our trip. As we were talking about various things. We connected and just it was like we had all been together just the day before. We all picked up on conversations and on events, that was happening currently in our lives, um, um, things that had happened, and the fact that we started looking back over those years and we just talked about all of the things that we've been through, just, I guess, encompass just the things that you go through in life. And we realized how very fortunate we are to have a group of women that we can, one, stay together, that long, consider, that we're friends, and just have so much fun together. So we reconnected, I mean, physically reconnected where we could actually see, feel, and touch each other over that weekend. And it was just really kind of the highlight of our lives. So I- I'd say of our lives, at least during this period. So we had plenty of wonderful food, lots of wine. We tuned in on our favorite Idris Elba movies. In fact, some of us, kind of OD'd on Idris Elba, and I laughed because we really enjoyed watching him and making our comments, of course. But I bring them up, and they know who they they know who they are, and they're probably gonna really give it to me for talking about us in this way. But I feel especially thankful, that I have this group of friends or the circle of friends. I'm able to connect with any one of them if I have something that I need some help with or have a burden that I need somebody to help me carry. A lot of ways I feel a lot closer to them than some of my family members. And I think, again, many of us, share that feeling. So I just wanted to do a shout out to BBB and could not resist talking about them as we talk about friends on this episode. So thanks, BBB. Um, look forward to our next getaway over in Bodega Bay.
That's great. You maybe recall that in the late '90s, um, I had a group, maybe like 15 women who kind of met at my home uh, once a month on a Saturday, and of course
Hmm.
we had the good snacks and
Right,
the wine,
right.
and the wine, and we just talked because about half of them were up and coming folks within the communication, sorry,
Hmm.
industry, and they want to like mentors, guidance, how to do this, how to do that. So, for about maybe the first hour, we kind of like, what were the issues, what we talked about, and then the
Hmm.
seniors of us would go around and said, okay, I would probably handle it this way, that way, that way. And they felt really, really good about it. And like you said, and then we got into the wine, we got into
Yep,
you know,
always.
the thing is that we didn't talk about men. We just talked about us.
How could you not?
You had to pay a fine if you did. So, that was I miss that. We did trips like limo ride to the wine country for my 50th birthday. 3 limos going up there. That was really, really nice. So it was just really nice to have that with those people. Everybody was really um about them and learning more about themselves and
Mm-hmm.
just appreciating that time. It's too bad that it just eventually faded away, but everybody move, people change,
Yeah, that's what happens.
relationships, you know, but I was very grateful that I had that time to share what I had been through and help someone else. So um, I miss that part, that connection right now. I don't have, moving here to Texas and not, then getting sick. I haven't
Mm-hmm.
formed any connections whatsoever. So
Mm-hmm.
in
Yeah,
time.
it's real apparent when you, especially when you move somewhere.
Yeah.
And I I I think I've talked about when I moved to Florida. I basically just hyped up my volunteer work because I missed my friends and I missed the interactions. So I was determined to make some new ones. So yeah, you do miss that. So I hope it won't be too much longer before you're able to, kind of get out there and explore, what's available in your community, whether it's through, church association or organizations or clubs
Yeah, I really
or
want to do
whatever,
that.
Yeah, 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 because they're there. I mean, they're there, and of course, the ones that you still have on the West Coast and in other places, we're still alive and well too. So we're not. But it's nice if you can have some FaceTime every now and then. It is.
Yeah, yeah,
It is. It absolutely is.
yeah.
So, gosh, I mean, we'd kind of be remiss, I guess, if we didn't talk some about toxic friends.
Uh,
We've,
yes,
while we
yes,
try to keep the focus on the positive, because there's just so much negative stuff going on in the world. So, we try real hard to keep our episodes on with a positive slant, if you haven't noticed. Um, but it just again, it's hard to talk about friends if we don't mention the
yeah,
fact that sometimes and I think we both said all friendships are not good friendships. And
yeah. I think we have to use the word friend very gently when we talk about toxic
yeah, yeah,
because it can be a scary situation.
yeah.
Um, uh,
Every Almost everybody has their definition of a toxic friendship. And
yeah,
bottom line is, it doesn't have to meet anybody else's definition. It's if it's not good for you.
yeah,
And we know when something isn't good for us. This is like a relationship that is probably not the best for you, but you somehow just kind of stay in it, and for various reasons, you stay in it anyway. Well, same thing for toxic friends. You know,
yeah,
we just barely do enough. We don't really do anything to grow the friendship. We don't really do anything to end it either. But these friendships definitely are robbers of joy, and they are robbers of your time.
and well-being.
Yes, definitely robbers of well-being. Just
Yeah, I would, my example that I'll share with everyone is that I mean, you don't know who's looking at you or who's watching you. That seemed more of a scarier thought. Uh,
mhm.
I had an incident right before I retired where someone decided I was going to be their friend. I didn't know who they were, or
Hmm.
or anything.
So this was a stranger?
Yeah, stranger.
Okay.
And so they came up to me at the commuter station and said, "Oh, I really like your bag." I said, "Oh, thank you." I'm going up
Okay.
my way, and she said, "Where'd you get it?" I said, "I got it Amazon, whatever." So 3 days later, she had the same bag in red. So got a
Okay.
little creepy,
All right.
and she says, "Like I was waiting for you. I didn't know which building you came out, but I was waiting for you so I could ride next to you." Red flag.
Huh.
it was just is really really weird. And we did start talking, and I was like kind of on the fence about something's not right.
Yeah,
So I,
yeah.
go to dinner with her a couple of times, but it seemed like I always wind up paying because she forgot her wallet or or something. So,
Okay.
but then she decided that she would rather hang out at the bar, just like the bar, and me would buy you a drink. I don't do that. I haven't done that since I was in my 20s. I don't hang out at the bar. When I go to eat, go to the restaurant to eat, I go to eat and then go home.
Mm-hmm.
So she said,
Mm-hmm.
"Well, I'm just gonna kidnap you." I'll go like, "No, I don't think so. I know how to take Lyft to get back home."
Sounds
And
like there were lots of red flashing
yeah,
signs.
but and then I said, "No, I don't think so."
Yeah,
And so
yeah.
she kept calling. I said, I'm really at a friend capacity. I really don't need any other friends right now, but I appreciate you, and I hope you find someone else. She kept calling and calling and calling. I just said, like, look, I thank you for wanting to be my friend, but I just don't have that capacity right now.
Yeah, yeah. Wow.
And what makes it so real is about 3 weeks ago, she called me again. She didn't
Wow.
realize I wasn't in the state anymore. Because I know we got off to a bad start, but can we try to be friends again? No.
Wow.
But so that was a red flag because that was more gut taxing to me because that means that I had to nurture and
Yeah,
just a whole bunch of stuff. And she's older than me, and I just don't want to do that.
yeah.
So just be careful, ask questions, and
Well, I mean, I'm sure there are a whole lot of reasons for all of those things that were going on.
yes.
I mean, I'm not going to try to.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
don't want to do that. I don't have to do that. I don't want to
yeah,
analyze nothing.
yeah, yeah. I think a reasonable person would probably assume that something else might have been going on. Might have been going on there because that was a lot of extra especially for someone that you don't know. To just but seemed like wanted to get to know you. So, her actions could have been very
They
innocent.
could have, but my
I don't
well-being
know.
said no. My well-being said no.
Yeah,
So
I'm, I'm, I think I'm gonna say I'm glad you listened. I'm glad you listened to that inner talk.
yeah,
So, if you've got some quote friendships that,
you have to be willing to say no without,
yeah,
and sometimes without listening,
yeah, yeah,
because
some,
sometimes when you listen, you get sucked in, and
yeah,
then before you know it, you're going, "Oh, I should have just handled this a long time ago." But
yeah.
anyway, that's my little story of one toxic relationship.
Yeah, well, that's certainly, like I said, a
That's
lot of
friends.
red,
It had
lot of
nothing to do
red,
with,
lot of red
yeah.
flags. So, think about it. Think about it. If you've got something like that that's going on, or just how you feel when you interact with them. If your stomach clenches or it drops, when you see their name on your phone ID or or hear their ring or whatever, you might want to tell yourself, or you're rolling your eyes, or you're saying, "Oh God," it's like, "Oh, give me a break," that's kind of stuff. But I don't know. Maybe, you might want to start distancing yourself for your own positive outlook. They're not supportive of you if they want to do things that you're not into that, like, you're not a bar person or, a club person or whatever, and that's what they want to do. You've got some really kind of diverging
Yeah.
things that your activities that are just not conducive to what you're about or who you want to be. They're not supportive of you and your issues, or they make it really hard for you to be supportive of them by their actions, by their activities. Um, Inconsiderate. that you have a life, that you have a family, or maybe a husband or spouse or partner, um, and you're not available all the time. Um, to be on a 2-hour phone call or to watch some program as you're talking, just and you're not up for the drama. Sometimes with some of these toxic friendships, there's just always some drama about any and everything, and you just don't want to be fully engaged. Or they're needy, just,
Yeah.
needing either money, time, or honesty. They're just needy. So we know when they are. I think sometimes we just procrastinate around, taking some action or making some decisions around, this isn't the best place or the best situation for me. So again, that's our, we want to keep it on the positive side, keep it on the side of being grateful for all those wonderful, strong, amazing friendships that we have. And we want to keep doing those things. We want to keep having those kinds of friendships and friends in our lives. Dr. Sharla, are you wanting to give us some ways that we can strengthen our friendships?
Mm. Run. No, just kidding. I think the way that, you know, it sounds really crass, but I think the way that we can really help somebody or really be a good friend is to really think about our well-being, our mindset, and where we are at the time. Um,
Hmm.
we want to make sure that we are open to trust, attention, and commitment. And I think commitment's a big part of it, and connection.
Hmm.
Um, without, you have to have trust, and that's something that you have to work on. That's not just something uh, that's particular. I mean, you can't just jump in. Some people you can jump in and just say, "Hey, I trust you," and
Hmm.
that's good. But not everyone. You have to work with that person,
Right.
see where they're coming from, see where their head is, and understand that it might take them a little time. You may be ahead of them, and they may need to catch up, but it has to start with trust,
Yep.
um,
Yep.
has and connection. Because if you're
Right.
not connected, you cannot form um, the trust because you're missing a piece there. You're missing
Hmm.
a spark plug, and I just think those two are important. And you have to also understand that, as I look at it, sometimes your different levels of friendship will change. Some of them will, some of them won't. Um, and you have to be in a mindset that that's how things have to be. It may hurt a
Hmm.
little bit, but you have to understand that sometimes people move on without you, and it doesn't have anything to do with you. It's them. They are transitioning or transforming somewhere else,
Yep.
and we should take on all the full responsibility. We're there to help the individual until we can help until they had enough. And I know it's hard to let go, but we do eventually let go.
Yep.
So those are some more ways. How about you doing?
Yeah, I think certainly all that you said, and just I mean, just kind of everyday kinds of considerations. Just reaching out in a meaningful way, spending time together if you can, or if the geography allows you to do that. Of course, now with wonderful technology, we can do that in many ways. Kind of responding when, a friend contacts you, really consider, how grateful you are, uh, when you have really good friends, and let them know that. Um, be a really good friend. Sometimes when I'm talking to my sister, she's used to me saying, sometimes if you want to have good friends, you have to be a good friend.
Yeah.
I really embrace that and just being, more accountable for what you can do. Being more reliable, and again, just kind of helping and letting friends know that you are someone that can help, kind of lighten their burdens a little
Yeah.
bit. So when you consider your friendships, think about, do they need a
Uh,
tune-up
yeah.
or a
So,
downright
yeah.
overhaul?
Yeah.
You
I
know?
think sometimes, I'll think about somebody and then I'll call them at that time. Um, I don't know what it is. I've been thinking about somebody, okay, I'll call them
Yeah.
just say hi, say I love you, or something like that, and that makes them so happy. And it makes me feel good.
Yeah, it does. It really does. I mean, especially out of the blue,
Yeah,
just without any practice or any preparation or whatever, because sometimes it
yeah,
it takes a lot to schedule some time to do anything, because
mhm,
everybody's so busy. Again, there's so much going on and you're being pulled in so many different directions. Yeah, but make time for your friends. I know I need to do a better job, with that. I'm always um, thinking, well, I got time. That's where my procrastination comes in, is that I always feel like I've got time to do it. And sometimes we run out of time. And um,
yeah.
and we
And
have
so I
that.
say I don't have but a few minutes. I just want to say I was thinking about you, love you,
Yeah.
talk to you
Yeah.
soon.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
because I like getting those calls too.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, and we know that this podcast, it might not be for everybody, and we really love doing it. But we know it's not for everybody. And what we say is that we know that it is for a lot of somebodies. So, Dr. Charlotte, I hope that you've heard something, that you've gained even one thing that you've learned. It's enabled one insight. It's inspired you to do something. In other words, to take some action.
And we have a nannyism for this week. Being honest may not get you a lot of friends, but we will always get the right number of friends. And that's by John Linden.
Okay, so we thank you for listening in, and we invite you to, certainly make our podcast part of your regular thing that you do. And please let your friends and family know about us. And we appreciate your listening, and we look forward to the next time. Thank you.
Goodbye. Thank you.
Thank you for tuning into our podcast, Wise Black Nanas. New programs of Wise Black Nanas are on the 1st and 15th of each month. Listen in as you learn more about Wise Black Nanas, Dr. Sharla Walker and Joanne Early. They are everyday nanas. They are not famous, not celebrities or rich, well, rich in life and its experiences. We want you to come back. Tell your friends. So, look for Wise Black Nanas podcast wherever you find your favorite podcasts. Learn more about them and the coaching services they offer at www.wiseblacknanas.com.